Welcome to the greatest phenomenon you will see today. Welcome to Tater Sports Story. I am your host, Mashytater, and we have a lot to cover today as we had a week full of action in the NFL, action that we have missed for the past 6 months. So here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for the greatest phenomenon you will see today. Get ready for Tater Sports Story with your host, Mashytater.
Now, our first game was the Buffalo Bills versus the New York Jets. Now, this was not a very well-matched game as the Bills absolutely demolished New York, as they couldn't even find any points to put up in the first half and only were able to score once it was down to garbage time. The Bills absolutely obliterated them on the scoreboard and on the stat sheet. Josh Allen played phenomenally with his first game over 300 yards, and his first game with Stephon Diggs was absolutely a hoot for the Bills. Now overall, I give the Buffalo Bills a whopping A- for this game. Now I give them an A- rather than A+, because they did allow the Jets to start catching up. Even though it was towards the end when it didn't really matter, they still allowed the Jets to get some points on the board when they very well could have stopped them. However, the offense did very well with working with its new wide receiver as well as still sharing the ball with its old ones. However, Josh Allen, when he is on the run, Josh Allen needs to hold on to the football. I cannot stress this enough. Josh Allen needs to not fumble that ball because it can really cost those Bills in the long run. This was just against New York, but it could have been a huge mistake if it was against a team like New England or like New Orleans. As for the New York Jets, I give them a D-. This was absolutely a horrible performance by them. They didn't work their running back Le'Veon Bell into the game much, and Sam Darnold just could not get going. As for the defense, they really lacked because they are missing their star safety, Jamal Adams, who was traded away to Seattle. If the Jets want to be successful this year, they really need to figure it out, because that was not a good performance. Cheesehead fans around the nation were absolutely excited to watch this Week 1 performance put on by Aaron Rodgers and his team. He completed 32 completions for 364 yards and 4 touchdowns in an absolutely obliteration against the Vikings. The Vikings struggled to put up points as well as defend against these Packers. The Green Bay Packers absolutely earned an A+ this week, as they proved haters like me wrong, and Aaron Rodgers played like his old self. 4 touchdowns is not an easy feat. However, 16 carries for the star running back Aaron Jones. I do not like that decision, as yes, Aaron Rodgers was able to put up nearly 400 yards, but Aaron Jones needs some love too. That's the way I feel. For the Vikings, I give them a C-. Kirk Cousins didn't do well, as he only completed 19 out of 25 completions for 259, 2 touchdowns, and a very crucial interception. Dalvin Cook had 12 carries and only produced 50 yards. However, he did get those 2 touchdowns, but it still was not enough to catch up to those Packers. Adam Thielen took the majority of the passes from Cousins, as he had 2 touchdowns as well as 110 yards and 6 receptions. The issue with this is you have to spread out the ball to be successful. You can't count on one guy when you're playing a team like Green Bay, and that's ultimately why they lost. The Philadelphia Eagles had a whopping 17-point lead against this Washington football team as they completely goose-egged them in the first half. However, Dwayne Haskins put on a tremendous show, as well as this defensive line, as they caught up to not only tie the football game, but also add 10 points more for good measure. This Washington football team had a very good debut. The Eagles completely blew it. How can you blow a lead like that against a team that's not even supposed to be ranked that high? This cannot happen for Philadelphia, or else they will have a horrible season. However, as a Cowboys fan, you gotta love to see it. For the grade for the Philadelphia Eagles, I give them an F, an absolute F. The fact that they were only able to manage to put 17 points on the board. 17 points. That's 2 touchdowns and a field goal against a team that wasn't highly ranked. And then completely blow that lead that you had. That is unacceptable from these Eagles. Absolutely horrible. I give it an F. For the Washington football team, I give them a B+. Now, this comeback was absolutely phenomenal. A+ performance. It's even said that Dwayne Haskins gave a speech in the halftime that rallied this team to come back up. However, you cannot get goose-egged in the first half. Any other team, most other teams would not allow that. The Eagles did allow you guys to catch back up. However, it still was not a good showing to go goose egg in the first half. I have said it once before, and I will say it once again. I do not like Lamar Jackson. I do not like him. Not one bit. However, what a game by these Baltimore Ravens. 20 passes completed for 275 yards and 3 touchdowns. What a showing to start week 1. However, it's the Browns. It's the Browns. For the Ravens, though, absolutely 100% A+. Great performance to start your season. You absolutely destroyed a division rival, and it was a great showing. Lamar, in my opinion, though, had it pretty easy this week, as the wide receivers got open every single play. That's why they were successful. And this defense absolutely rallied to the occasion and put a stop to Baker Mayfield as well as his core. The Browns, on the other hand, also get an F. Baker Mayfield, if you are behind by this many points, you cannot manage to only put up 189 yards. Unacceptable. The interception was very crucial as well. You managed 1 touchdown in which your kicker missed the field goal anyway. Your backup running back, Kareem Hunt, ran further and more times than your starter in Nick Chubb. Odell Beckham Jr. had a pretty bad day with only 3 receptions and 22 yards. Jarvis was the best receiver with only 61. This cannot be seen if you want to be successful, Cleveland. Unacceptable. F. Colts versus Jaguars was a very fun game to watch. It was definitely an AFC South battle that was well contended. Both the Colts and the Jaguars put up a pretty good fight. However, the Jaguars managed to come through with 7 more points. Gardner Minshew was on fire, and as was Phillip Rivers. The Jaguars have earned a B from me. Gardner Minshew was absolutely phenomenal with his passing, as he was 19 for 20 and put up 3 touchdowns. What a showing for Minshew Mania to prove that the Jags are not going to just tank this year. However, the defense seemed to struggle against this Colts offense all day. Phillip Rivers was passing all over them, and they, even with a sack and an interception, allowed the Colts to still put up 20. I give the Colts overall a C, as Phillip Rivers had a pretty good debut with only 10 incompletions out of 46 passes. He managed to nearly have 400 yards, and he did put up a touchdown, as well as their running back putting up another touchdown. But 2 interceptions is very, very bad for this team. The fact that they were able to hang on and still only lose by a touchdown was pretty impressive. However, as a Colts fan, you've got to expect and want more. However, Phillip Rivers is definitely promising for the future. This was another exciting game as the Las Vegas Raiders came in to their first game as the Oakland Raiders, and beat the Carolina Panthers 34-30. This was a great performance from both teams, as both teams put up nearly 250 yards passing, and both running backs had nearly 25 carries as well as nearly 100 yards. Josh Jacobs also had 3 touchdowns with that. For the Las Vegas Raiders, I give them a B+, as this was a very good performance by them. Derek Carr managed to put up nearly 250 and completed the majority of his passes, also managed to get a touchdown. They managed to have Henry Ruggs as their top receiver in the game. Very, very good. And as I said earlier, Josh Jacobs with nearly 100 rushing yards as well as 3 touchdowns. Way to go for this Raiders team. However, as a Cowboys fan, I would have loved to see Witten get worked in there more. I promise you, Raider Nation, if you let this guy into your hearts, he will benefit you as a tight end, more than just a blocking tight end. Also, a pretty good performance from the Panthers, but I've got to give them only a B-, as they had very similar stats. But the thing is, if you have Christian McCaffrey as your running back, he has to get more than 23 carries. If Josh Jacobs on the other side of the ball has 25 carries and less yards than McCaffrey has with only 23, that's just saying something. Yes, Bridgewater is good and you want to try out your new quarterback, but he didn't complete that many passes, only 22 out of 34. He managed a touchdown as well and 270 in yardage, but you've got to use the best back in the league when you have him. Bears versus the Lions in a great NFC North matchup to give us another great divisional game this week. What a way to start the season. It was a very close game and a good performance from both sides. Way to go for both Chicago and Detroit. For Chicago, I give them a B. What a performance. However, they really shouldn't have won this game. We saw that final play. But still, regardless, they won it. What a performance. Mitch Trubisky managed nearly 250 and 3 touchdowns. Now, this really could have gone either way for Mitch Trubisky, as they chose him over Nick Foles as the starting quarterback. The issue with this is, if the Bears would have lost, then it would have been questioned, what if Nick Foles can be better? But with Mitch Trubisky winning this football game, he has to keep playing like this to prove his worth. So it was really a lose-lose situation for Trubisky unless he can prove that he can do this weekly. Detroit deserves at least a B for their performance, as they honestly should have won this game. With only 3 yards under 300 passing, Matthew Stafford kept them in competition. However, he only put up 1 touchdown versus Trubisky's 3, and he threw a pick. Adrian Peterson had a great performance in his Lion debut with 93 rushing yards for the vet. Danny Amendola, the old Patriot, managed 81 yards. And they got TJ Hawkinson, the tight end, in there as well with 56. This was a very good performance, and it came down to that final play, that drop by DeAndre Swift. That's a rookie mistake there, but you have to catch that football. If you want to win that game, you have to catch that football. For fantasy football players around the world, they were absolutely happy to have this Seattle versus Atlanta game, as both teams managed to put up a lot of points and a lot of stats. Russell Wilson, with 322 and only 4 incompletions. He had as many touchdowns as he did incompletions. And Matt Ryan, managing to put up nearly 500 passing yards with 450 and 2 touchdowns. Todd Gurley with 56 rushing yards and a touchdown. What a performance by both teams. What an absolute dominant performance by this Seattle team. I give them an A, as they are definitely, in my opinion, the top team in the NFC. Russell Wilson, like I said, 4 incompletions and 4 touchdowns. Absolutely amazing performance. As for Atlanta, I only give them a B. A B because they did manage to put up so many stats. So much stats. 450 in passing yards. For Julio Jones, he had 157 receiving yards. Calvin Ridley, 130. Russell Gage at 114. Calvin Ridley also managed 2 touchdowns. Those are amazing stats, but it's got to be even more than that if you want to beat a team like Seattle, and it goes to show that stats aren't everything. It seems that the Patriots have struck gold again, as Bill Belichick has got to be excited to see Cam Newton perform the way he did. With both 15 completions as well as 15 carries and 2 touchdowns, what a performance by these Patriots to stump the Dolphins 21-11. My grade for the New England Patriots is a B, an absolute B. Look, New England fans are very happy to see Cam Newton's performance, but I am absolutely not. 19 passes from a quarterback and only 15 completions, and he decided to carry the ball as many times as he passed it. Cam, you are not in your 20s anymore. In fact, running for 15 carries a game is what got you hurt in the first place. Do not do that again. You are not a running back, you are a quarterback, Cam Newton. I did not like to see that one bit, and I hated to see a Cam show happen in New England as it did in Carolina. I like Cam Newton, but I hate to see him continue to act like he's 20 years old. As for the Dolphins, not a bad performance for Miami, as it is a step forward from last year. However, I still only give you a C, as Fitzpatrick couldn't even get to 200 passing yards. He threw 3 interceptions, which is not good at all. Devontae Parker, their star receiver, only had 4 receptions for 47 yards. Not a good look from Miami. The talk of the week is how 6-time Super Bowl champion Tom Brady is 0-1, and his old mentor, Bill Belichick, is 1-0. The Buccaneers got beaten pretty badly by this New Orleans Saints team. You hate to see it as a Brady fan, but you love to see it as a Brady hater. For the Bucs, I give them a C. Absolutely a bad performance by the Buccaneers. They did manage to hang on though, so I'll give them higher than D. I'll give them a C. But Brady. Yeah, you threw 2 touchdowns, but you threw 2 interceptions too, buddy. And Bruce Arians completely blames it on Tom Brady. Not a good performance, and not a great start for this Tampa team. As for the Saints, I can only give them a B, as they didn't have a very good performance. They were able to put up 34 points, but the stat sheet was awful. Drew Brees only had 160 in passing yards. The rushing game was okay with a combined yardage of, call it 70, about 70. Brees with 2 touchdowns, Kamara with 2 touchdowns, Sanders with 1. But even before Michael Thomas got hurt, you guys didn't work your star receiver in there at all. And, think of how dominant it could have been if you did. Only 3 receptions for Michael Thomas. And Jared Cook had the most with 5 receptions. Not a good look from New Orleans. Now, this play that you're watching right now absolutely stood out to me, as Burrow absolutely threw that ball away. He gave it directly to that Charger defender. Welcome to the NFL, buddy. Stuff that slid in college football does not slide here, and I truly believe that's why the Chargers ended up winning. Their defense absolutely manhandled the Bengals offense. For the Bengals, I've got to give them a score of a D. Not a good performance at all. Joe Burrow was the only guy with a touchdown, and it was a rushing touchdown. And Joe Mixon, their star running back, only produced 69 yards and not a single point on the board. AJ Green, fresh back from IR, with 51 yards, but only 5 receptions. It's got to be better. You're only playing the Chargers. It's going to get only harder from here. You've got to play better. And Joe Burrow, yeah, he's a rookie. But if you're going to trade away, not even trade, if you're going to release your star quarterback in Andy Dalton because you trust in this pick so much, then he's got to be able to perform. That's just the way it is. This is the NFL. As for the Chargers, I only give it a C. Tyrod Taylor didn't do very well, as he had only completed just one above half of his attempts for only 208 yards. Austin Eckler did decent with 86 rushing yards, and Joshua Kelly with 60. Hunter Henry was their star receiver with 73 receptions, but there was only 1 touchdown. Only 1 touchdown from you guys. It's got to be better than that. Melvin Ingram had an interception, which was very good, but like I said earlier, Burrow gave him that ball, and the Bengals ended up almost winning the game anyway. It's got to be a better performance than that. What a performance by this Arizona Cardinals team, as they were able to win this division battle against the NFC champions from last year and be able to put 1-0 on that board for the first time since 2015. Great performance. I talked to my buddy before this game, and I told him that I will give Kyler Murray another chance. And with this performance, I give the Cardinals an A. However, I don't think Kyler did all that good. He had 26 completions out of 40 passes and an interception. That's not too great of a performance. However, he did produce 230 yards and 2 touchdowns, 1 passing, 1 rushing. Kenyon Drake had 60 yards out of just 16 carries and produced a touchdown. And Hopkins, the man of the day, with 14 receptions, which is more than the Texans wide receivers had in general on Thursday and 151 yards. Great performance. As for the 49ers, it just made me smile the entire game because I knew this would happen to the defending NFC champs. I give them a C for their performance. Jimmy Garoppolo did not play well, with only 19 completions out of 33 passes. He did produce 259 yards, but most of that came from that Raheem Mostert reception where he got, I think it was 75 yards and a touchdown. That produces a lot of those yardages for Jimmy G. George Kittle got hurt, which is not good at all for the Niners team. And their defense just was not up to par at all. In a very intense Sunday night game, the Los Angeles Rams beat my Dallas Cowboys 20-17 in a game where they rushed all over that Dallas defense. The defense could not get going for Dallas, and the Rams absolutely took advantage for it. Way to go to them. Kudos to them. La-di-da-di-da. Though the Rams won this game, I still can only give them a B-, as Jared Goff didn't produce a single touchdown, and he threw an interception straight to Chidobe Awuzie. Malcolm Brown, on the other hand, though, was 79 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Cowboys. What a performance for Malcolm Brown, the running back who took the star running back Todd Gurley's place. Robert Woods with 105 yards. Great performance by those two, but I could still only give them a B- as the defense allowed Dallas to keep in contention for the game. As for my Cowboys, I absolutely give them a D. The offense was up to par for the first half and even produced some pretty good yardage throughout the game. But we did not score. We would get down there, but we wouldn't score. We didn't have any turnovers, only punts, but just was not good enough in my opinion. Dak with 266 yards and Zeke with 96. Not too bad from either of them, but it just was not enough. Good job spreading out the ball to Dak, to both Amari, CeeDee Lamb, and Michael Gallup. But when your coach calls a play on 4th and 3 because you guys are on a roll, you cannot throw the ball short of the first down marker. It just is not acceptable. CeeDee Lamb's got to learn to go a little further on that route, and Dak should already know to throw a little further or run for it. I was not too happy with this. However, I was happy with Mike McCarthy making the call to go for it on 4th and 3 because it was aggression that I have not seen from a coach ever for my Dallas Cowboys. Garrett would have never made that call, and if it would have been successful, it would have won us the game. So I do like this call by Mike McCarthy, but the offense has got to do better with it. As for the defense, what was that? What was that performance? The only guy that played well was Aldon Smith and Awuzie for one play. Unacceptable. That's why we lost. As for the call at the end, Jalen Ramsey was absolutely in the wrong there. There was absolutely no offensive pass interference. If anything, it was defensive pass interference because he had Gallup's arm locked up. Gallup did not push off. Bad call by the ref, and that was one of just 3 times that the refs ruined a football game. Great performance by the defending Super Bowl champs, the Kansas City Chiefs, with 3 touchdowns from their star quarterback Patrick Mahomes. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire had a great performance with 138 rushing yards and a touchdown. As for the Texans, you've got to be upset to see what happened here. David Johnson was definitely their star player of the game with 77 rushing yards and a touchdown, but there's got to be more from them, especially when you're missing your star wide receiver one. With DeAndre Hopkins traded to the Arizona Cardinals, the Texans have to find a way to produce. This was not a good performance by them. I give the Chiefs an A, and I give the Texans a C. Pittsburgh absolutely welcomes Big Ben back with 3 touchdown passes put up by him in this game against the Giants, as Danny Dimes was only able to produce 2 as well as 2 interceptions. What a great performance by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Their offense did have to pick it up after a lousy first quarter, but they were able to produce pretty good offense. As for the Giants, it was just Jason Garrett absolutely destroying them. I saw very similar things from the Giants that I have seen from my Cowboys over the years, and I absolutely blame Jason Garrett for that. Saquon Barkley with 6 rushing yards. That's hilarious to me. I give the Steelers a B+, and I give the Giants a D-. From both the Broncos and from the Titans, what an awful game. It was boring from beginning to end. Ryan Tannehill and Drew Lock produced 2 touchdowns from Tannehill and 1 from Lock. Both produced over 200 passing yards. Derrick Henry had 116 yards rushing with 31 carries. Corey Davis from the Titans was able to produce 101 yards receiving. It was nice seeing Jerry Jeudy get in there a little bit with 56 yards, but Gostkowski absolutely almost cost the Titans the game. He did kick the game-winning kick, but 1 for 4, I think it was, in kicking, and even missed an extra point. Absolutely horrendous. By the way, Titans, I know this guy, a little free agent named Kai Forbath. Yeah, he might do a little better for you guys. For my predictions of next week's games, let me just say right now, I will never vote as a prediction for any Cowboys game, as I don't want to be a jinx nor a bad luck charm for my team. So, let me get on with it. For Thursday Night Football, we have the Bengals versus the Browns. I'm betting the Browns beat the Bengals because I see a similar performance from Joe Burrow, and I can see the Browns wanting to pick it up after their horrendous game against the Ravens. Starting on Sunday, we have Rams versus Eagles. I picked the Rams over the Eagles because if Washington is going to beat the Eagles, so can the Rams after what I saw them do to my Cowboys. Buccaneers versus Panthers. I think Brady can pick it back up and work Gronk into his system and get a win over the Panthers. Steelers versus Broncos. That defense is going to be an absolute nightmare for Drew Lock's offense. They're going to beat the Broncos. Packers versus Lions. I think Aaron Rodgers has another A1 performance, and I think that it will be good for them, and they will beat the Lions. Colts versus Vikings. I see Phillip Rivers picking it back up and handing the Vikings a second loss in this season. Upset of the week, I picked the Texans over the Ravens, as I think Deshaun Watson will be able to have a good performance and humiliate these Ravens. I also think J.J. Watt will possibly be able to get to Lamar Jackson and disrupt some offense. Seahawks versus Patriots. I see Cam Newton trying to do what he did against the Dolphins, but come on, it was the Dolphins. Seattle's not going to allow that. Seahawks will win that game. Bears versus Giants. I take the Bears, as I think Mitch Trubisky will have another good performance and hand the Giants a second loss as well. I think Jason Garrett will not do good for these Giants. Like I said, I will not predict for Cowboys versus Falcons. 49ers versus Jets. For obvious reasons, I picked the Niners over the Jets. I think they will have a pickup week and beat who, in my opinion, is probably one of the lower teams in the league right now. Titans versus Jaguars. I see Titans picking it back up and beating the Jags. I like Minshew Mania, but I like Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill just a little more. My lock of the week, I give the Bills a win over the Dolphins because, once again, it's the Dolphins. I think Josh Allen is going to have a great performance with his buddies Beasley and Stephon Diggs. They'll do pretty good. Cardinals versus Washington. I think DeAndre Hopkins will have another great performance and absolutely destroy this Washington team. And though Washington has a dangerous defensive line, Kyler Murray has some dangerous little legs and he could escape that line. Chiefs versus Chargers. Patrick Mahomes is going to be able to beat these Chargers, in my opinion. And that defense will be able to hold up against Tyrod Taylor. And for Monday Night Football, I predict it as the game of the week, as I think both teams will have a very good performance, but I see the Saints defeating the Raiders. Thank you for watching. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Hope you guys enjoy some football and a little basketball playoff action. And I will see you guys later.